everybody!
Hi, friends. Well, from Wrath of God torrential downpours in Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman,
And I'm Dan Beecher.
and honestly, hopefully you don't hear about the storm that's going on in the national news, because storms seem to just make national news these days. They're so awful.
I mean, storms these days have been doing crazy, awful shit. So yeah,
Oh
I'm
my
hoping
God.
this isn't one of those storms.
Yeah.
It's just, in Utah, what we have is either no rain for, a month and a half, which we've had, or just a desert, downpour, and then it's gone in 15 minutes. So it'll probably be gone soon. But right now, it's pretty exciting outside.
Yeah, and if you hear some thunder or torrential rain happening while we were recording, that's what it is. Anyway, coming up on the show today, Dan, we're going to be talking underwear.
We are going to be talking underwear. It is it's going to be that kind of a show.
Mormon unmentionables, in fact.
Yeah, specifically, and more unmentionable than most when it comes to underwear.
They don't like mentioning their unmentionables.
Even less mentionable than most underwear. So we're going to be. The New York Times mentioned it.
Wow.
And created quite a stir. So.
Oh, yeah. The liberal, their intentions are bad. The Mormons know there's something fishy going on.
Something not okay happening in the world of temple garments.
But first, Dan, Utah has a new special day, Dan.
Oh, yeah.
A very new special day.
They do?
Have you not heard about it?
I don't know. Tell me, what's happening?
Well, July 23rd, which is the day before Pioneer Day, our state holiday.
Yeah.
So on Pioneer Day Eve, this year, it has been declared M. Russell Ballard Day.
What?
By our very Mormon governor, Spencer Cox. Yeah, he's honoring M. Russell Ballard with his very own special day. Now, for those of you who do not know who M. Russell Ballard is, he is currently the acting president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
He's just one of the old men over in the
church office
in
building.
The Q15, the top tier Mormons. He's definitely
very important.
Big dog, but why does he deserve a day?
Well, because he's, for a lot of his community work, apparently. I was unaware of this, but apparently he does a lot of community work. The 92-year-old is being recognized for his support of the This Is the Place Heritage Park. Dan.
Oh, yeah, that's a state park here in Salt Lake City, commemorating where the Mormon pioneers came into this valley.
And there's a little living history village there.
Yeah, there is.
And it's barely living history, right?
They've got one guy that sits in the print shop and teaches you all about old-timey printing.
Almost interesting. This is the Place Heritage Park. And apparently he was majorly involved in pushing to have to share the story of Utah's tribal nations at This Is the Place Heritage Park.
Oh.
They have a Native American village there.
Oh.
Have you heard about this?
No.
I'm sure it's very accurate.
I am very worried. That makes me extremely uncomfortable.
Well, walking along on the shoreline trail there up above the park, I have noticed that there is a large teepee.
A very large teepee. I've definitely seen the giant teepee.
And I'm worried that that's probably what they're talking about.
It's probably the extent of it. And they probably have some white person in red face.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to teach us all about how the Mormons were so kind to the natives when they got here.
Yeah, and speaking in some sort of halting, sort of bad impression.
Me, Chief Wampum.
Oh, God.
It's not going to be good. That's
It's
what
not
I'm
gonna be
saying.
good.
What I'm saying is the Timpanogos tribe will not be represented at the This Is the State. This is the place park.
I guess he
You
helped
can look that
create.
up. The Mormons killed all the Timpanogos tribe. Anyway, go ahead.
I guess he helped create the Walk of Pioneer Faiths. I don't even know what this thing is, but it involves Catholics and Jews and congregational folk and
Oh God.
Episcopalians, so forth and so on. I don't know what this. Anyway, he's a very important figure in our community, and I honestly just think that he got declared. A day was declared for him because he's an old Mormon guy. I mean, that's really the extent of it. And Cox probably wanted to shake his hand.
Yeah. Although I'm looking at a picture of him right now, and shaking his hand kind of scares me because I just can't imagine what happens when all that neck meat gets to wiggling. Anyway,
well, it gets in the way of the handshake, Dan.
Yeah. Anyway, I shouldn't make fun. He's just an old man.
Yeah. You're gonna have neck skin someday, Dan.
Someday that joke's gonna come back. I hope when I look like that, you all like bring out that joke and say, "Look what you've done. It's biting you in the ass now, old man."
Are we gonna be still doing the show when we're 92?
I assume so. I assume that's all. This is all I got. Anyway,
in our 60th year.
That's right. Hey, it's thank God I'm atheist. Can't believe we're still doing this shit. All right. I'm going to take us to Texas, where it's even worse than it is here for a lot of things, including their new, we didn't talk about it when it happened, but they have a new abortion law. It's real cute. Basically, it should be entirely unenforceable. There is plenty of statutory precedent that says that this law is completely out of bounds. We're talking about SB 8, which is supposed to take effect in September, and basically it prohibits abortions as early as 6 weeks, which is before most women even know that they're pregnant.
Obscene.
So that in and of itself is absurd. It is a de facto abortion ban.
Yeah.
But they don't want it to be toothless. They don't want there to be no consequences if an abortion happens. So they've gone and deputized the entire state of Texas. Basically, anybody, regardless of whether you have, you don't need standing on this. Anyone can sue basically anybody involved in an abortion.
It's obscene.
And then and then they get $10,000, a minimum award of $10,000. So they are highly motivated to find somebody involved in an abortion and sue them.
What?
Which of course that's absurd. It is absurd. Like literally, if you know that a doctor was involved in an abortion, if you know that a nurse, if someone advised someone to have an abortion, you can sue them and get $10,000, even if you are not even related to the case. If you were standing next to someone on the bus and they were like, "Hey, I told my girlfriend to get an abortion," you can sue that guy and get $10,000 at minimum.
This just doesn't sound like it's gonna. Like, this can't be legal.
No, I don't think it can hold up. And so the way that you make sure that it doesn't hold up is you file a federal lawsuit, which people have done. And of course, this federal lawsuit is asking the U.S. District Court in Austin to not only overturn the law, but before that, to have an injunction so that this law will not take effect.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because it would be madness. It would be an insanity for this to take effect. But what's interesting is that one of the groups that's actually filing this lawsuit, because the main people that are filing the lawsuit are the Center for Reproductive Rights, Planned Parenthood, the ACLU, and others. But along with them, because you usually have like a number of just people filing. There are some clergy who
Oh,
are
wow.
working to try and stop this thing. In part because they're very worried that if they counsel a young woman and then she goes and has an abortion, they could be sued.
Jesus.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Just-
that is a madness law. This is what it looks like in America right now. They got this law passed. I think, and you know what? Our current Supreme Court, you never know. Right now, all of these laws have been passed just to test the waters. These are water testing laws. So other laws have been struck down in other states that try to be this strict.
Well, is there any equivalent in any other kind of context for somebody, breaks a law and you find out about it and you just get to sue them?
I don't
right?
know. You know what? We
like,
should have Andrew Seidel or Andrew Torres come on the show and just talk about this. Because that is a question that I have no answer for. Because I ain't.
It just doesn't. But like,
it seems
in my
impossible.
own lived experience, I don't think I've ever heard of that.
With the number of lawsuits that were important that have been thrown out based on not having standing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't. This is like you just granting standing to everybody. That's crazy talk.
That doesn't make. Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous. Oh boy. Well, all right. I've got a story here, Dan, about a top Catholic official in this country who has found himself in a little bit of a situation after being outed by a Catholic news, a Catholic-focused newsletter called The Pillar.
Oh.
So this is Monsignor Jeffrey Burrell, who was the head of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops.
Oh.
I doubt you'll recognize his name.
No, but I know that organization.
Yeah, but he was one of the people who was wanting to deny Joe Biden communion.
Right.
Right.
Because Joe Biden's a big fat sinner who's okay with women choosing whether or not they're going to have an abortion for themselves.
Exactly. Right. Well, it turns out he's a big old sinner.
What?
He was found out for being on Grindr. He was caught on Grindr.
Yeah. Okay.
And not just a little bit. Like it says that according to the data that the Pillar was able to drum up, that he was on Grindr almost on a daily basis during parts of 2018, 2019, and 2020. Here's
Wait, you're
the Catholic
telling
Church.
me I am supposed to believe that a Catholic priest is gay?
I know,
it seems
it's shocking.
impossible.
I know, absolutely shocking. So Grindr, he's being accused of being on Grindr.
Grindr's a gay dating app for those who don't know.
Yeah, that thank you, Dan. I suppose not everybody would know that. The data that they were able to pull is pretty actually kind of scary data. Because like this organization that was investigating him, they just they hired some company to a data consulting firm to take. They bought some data from a vendor, right? And then they sort of analyzed it, and they were able to see where he was using Grindr, right? Not just that he had been on Grindr. Like, it's not just that they found his profile and it was obviously him, right? They purchased data, and they were able to then say that he was using or see that he was using Grindr at his office at the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, as well as at his residence that was owned by the USCCB. As well as during USCCB meetings and events in other cities. I mean, this guy was going for it.
That is amazing.
In addition, the data places him at gay bars,
Yeah.
And so while I'm delighted that that he was outed, right, in his hypocrisy, I think hypocrisy should be outed. I know that like there's this thing about, oh, you don't out gay men and blah 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 blah. I think if you're in his kind of position, being outed
moralizing about
yes.
other gay men being horrible.
Yes,
Fuck
it is.
You.
It's fair game, in my opinion. However, it is alarming and should be concerning to everybody, like that they were just able to like purchase this data and figure it out. I'm not sure how that works. I don't know what the steps to that would be, but they definitely did it because he resigned. Like this is like, oh, I gotta get out of here. Like he's not. I don't think it's being denied. It's just he is like, he's gone, right? But then also the pillar is gross, right? Like apparently in their reporting on it, it's like full of like really homophobic nonsense and just all sorts of innuendo and whatnot. It's just dirty and it's gross, and they clearly didn't like him for some reason. And
because he's a gross gay man.
Well, maybe they heard some rumors. Who knows, right? And maybe that was just enough. But the flip side of it is, well, good. These people should be shamed,
right? The thing that actually does worry me in all of that is that you can just buy people's Grindr data. That's what terrifies me.
I know.
Nobody tell the gay hating groups, this could be used in some terrifying ways.
Yeah, no, it's really quite awful. And
if Grindr's doing it, all of the dating apps are doing it. If you're on a dating app, they know everything. And, Facebook has always known everything about all of us and probably sells it. But, like, do they sell to anyone who has the coin to, like, where you were and what you've been doing? Because
I don't know if Grindr sold this data in the way that, like you're suggesting, right? I think that the data was out there. I don't know how it was gotten. Apparently, I mean, Grindr has come out and said that I can't remember exactly what their statement was, but they're not like, I don't think anyway. I don't get the sense that it's like you can go to Grindr and be like, can you give me Monsignor so and so's data? Like, I don't think it's that transactional and that easy.
No, but you can. What I'm guessing happened is that you can buy a whole data dump and just say, I'm an advertiser or I'm a blah blah blah.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And you buy a data dump, but then you can like, if you have the technical skills, you can just sort of do a quick forensics thing and zero in on a specific person and bada bing.
Yeah, maybe. That's so fucking scary.
It's freaky. It's freaky.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of freaky, I'm not going to make anybody's day any better with this story, which is about Liberty University, which we all, everybody's favorite awful Christian university. This is the place. This is our, for the longest time, all of our stories out of Liberty University were about Jerry Falwell Jr. But this one isn't. Surprisingly, he's out. He doesn't even work there anymore. They kicked him out. This one is about. Now you, Frank, briefly went to the BYU.
Yes, that's true.
So you have some understanding of what it is to go to a university that has an honor code.
And not just like some innocent honor code that's like, tell the truth and be good to your fellow students and, don't cheat and, like would be a decent honor, like literally honor, right?
Right.
This is this controls your all of your like activities.
No
right?
sex,
Like
no booze, no blah, blah, blah. Like,
no beard.
Right.
Like it reaches into like your dress and grooming. Yeah, it's really.
Yeah, the BYU one tells you like where you're allowed to live and what the rules have to be at the place that you live and all of that.
No
sort of thing.
persons of the opposite sex beyond a certain line in your apartment.
Right.
That kind of stuff.
Well, it will surprise exactly 0 people to learn that Liberty University has its own honor code known as, creepily, the Liberty Way.
Ooh.
And the Liberty Way is gross. It is similar in its strictures to the BYU code. I haven't read the whole thing, but a couple of the things that are included are no alcohol ever. We're not just talking about like when you're on campus. No, we're talking about like in your life. You are not to have alcohol. You are not to have sex, etc. Well, just like what happened just a few years ago at BYU, Liberty is now being sued by 12 women, all of whom are remaining anonymous for what will be obvious reasons. They're suing Liberty University because they were all sexually assaulted in some way. And Liberty not only didn't protect them, but it turns out, shockingly, you won't even believe it. Liberty basically protected the men in the scenario, and the girls got in trouble. The women got in trouble.
Of course.
So yeah, no, it's not shocking. What's shocking is how not shocking it is, because it's the grossest possible scenario, and all of these like religious universities just fall right in line every single time.
It's like you were in the wrong place, so you're in trouble type thing.
Or you were drinking, so you're the one in trouble.
Right.
The stories are utterly horrific. One of them, an employee was working there. This was back in 2013. She told a coworker, a supervisor, that she had an allergic reaction, and he insisted he was going to come over and help her out. And she said, "No, thanks." And then ding dong, he showed up at her house. Her address, she had not given him her address. So he had looked it up.
Oh, God.
Probably in the school's directory. And then, or on her personal file or whatever.
Probably some privileged information. Yeah.
Right. He showed up with a pill, which he insisted that she take.
What?
And then, apparently insisted. So she took it, trying to get him to leave.
Oh, no.
And then he wouldn't, insisting that then he needed to get her into bed so that she was safe. And then she blacked out and woke up apparently later with his hands on her neck.
Oh, God.
Anyway, all of that is horrifying. It gets worse from there. He came back the next day. He did a whole bunch. He assaulted her in some horrible ways, and then threatened to have her deported if she didn't comply. If she told.
Oh
on
my
him.
God!
Because apparently she was in the country on a work visa,
right?
So he actually had the ability to do that. She eventually did tell the HR department of Liberty University what happened, and they, of course, being the good and appropriate people they were, leapt to his defense as a godly man and said that she was trying to smear his reputation.
Oh, God. Of course.
And it's just a litany of stories like that.
Yeah. You can imagine any number of scenarios, and it probably is on that list.
Yeah, exactly.
Gross.
One student was afraid to tell Liberty about her assault because she had been drinking. And then, of course, she gets in trouble. The boy does not. It's just all this shit straight down the board. All very credible stuff, and all stuff that as a school, they have an obligation under Title IX to protect these women. And no, they didn't.
Boo.
So hopefully the lawsuit will go forward, and Liberty will have to, really look at themselves and actually like pay these women a fuck ton of money. I hope it doesn't fix it, but at the very least, maybe they'll put some new rules on the books or something. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm sure. Right, like these
doesn't mean things will change.
No, yeah,
but
of course, they'll have some sort of training people have to go through.
Religion is gross, people. It's the theme of our show.
Well, I've got a really gross religious thing. We've spoken about this group on the show before, once or twice, but they're pretty fringe Mormon types. It's the Deseret movement, or the Deseret nationalists.
Yeah, these are, just picture Christian nationalists, only Mormonier. Just go as far right in the extreme right wing, like disgusting people that you can think of, and then take one more step to the right.
Yeah. Okay. It's a group that really got its start on like Twitter. And they are, of course, against groups like Black Lives Matter, and they hate progressive Mormons and LGBTQ Mormons. For
progressive anybody, but specifically
right.
progressive.
But these
Mormons.
are groups that they really go after. Anyway, the Guardian, the news organization, has identified an Alaska Assistant Attorney General as a supporter of and member, really, of the Deseret nationalists, the Deseret guys.
Oh, wow.
Through a series of posts that he used the Twitter handle, J. Reuben Clark. Isn't that cute? Which is the...
Oh, I know who that's who the BYU legal...
The law school is named after.
The law school is named after.
So he was... J. Reuben Clark was... he was some sort of Mormon figure. I don't know exactly who he was, but they decided to name the law school at BYU after him.
Yeah, I'm sure he was a general authority who was also a lawyer.
Yeah, something along those lines. That would make sense. Anyway, so a series of posts that were racist, anti-Semitic, and homophobic. He's basically this Twitter handle is one of like really the early Deseret nationalists, like working with and using the hashtag Desnat. That's DEZNAT if anybody's curious. And
do not look at that hashtag. Bad things will happen.
But anyway, his job up in Alaska for the Attorney General's office is he is the Chief Corrections Counsel. And he has been, like, a lot of his comments were, he advocates for, well, first of all, he has really strong extreme positions against Black Lives Matter protesters.
Right.
He promotes vigilante violence against left-wing groups.
This is as his in his anonymous
space, but this is revealing who he is, right? And a punishment of execution for acts including performing gender reassignment surgery, so forth and so on. And basically espousing position or taking positions that, maybe a member of, an attorney general's staff, an assistant attorney general should not be sort of making, because it speaks to who he is and his character, and not for nothing,
or lack thereof.
And not for nothing, like Desnats, these guys, they sort of, the article sort of mentions that they flirt with like neo-Nazi imagery. And they pass around memes and catchphrases that are adaptations of imagery and verbiage associated with the alt-right movement. This is this is some pretty very fringe, very extreme stuff. I mean, the Des Nats, I mean, these guys legitimately, some of them like want Utah to secede and become a Mormon theocratic state.
Right. Yeah, that's their dream.
Yeah.
That's,
and it's like,
that's the eventual end game.
Okay. Or
just take over the United States completely. It's not the United States of America. It's now Deseret, which is, by the way, a made-up Mormon word,
right,
that supposedly means honeybee.
Yeah.
Enjoy that.
Fun. All right. But anyway, yeah. Isn't that just delightful?
Yeah. Hopefully that guy loses his job. We'll see. Get on it, Alaska. Get rid of that guy. Meanwhile, I'm gonna close this out by taking us all the way to Mecca. The Hajj this year was very limited because COVID-19 is still a very real thing. Get your vaccinations, everybody, please. Definitely do that. This year, Saudi Arabia allowed only 60,000, which sounds like a big number until you hear the normal numbers. 60,000. They all had to be vaccinated to come and do the Hajj this year. And then there were 20 other new members of the Hajj, new pilgrims, I guess.
20?
To the Hajj. Yeah, 20 that of a kind that had never been there before. Robots have descended on Hajj.
What?
Yeah, these are a measure to try and keep sanitation in line, because there is about 20 meters from the Kaaba, in the center of the Grand Mosque, there is a well that is called the Zamzam well.
Okay.
And Zamzam water is the holiest of all of the Muslim water. So everybody wants a sip. Everybody got to get a drink.
So stupid.
And often take home a bottle of it just as a memento or whatever. But they didn't want everybody's mouth being on all over these fountains that they have. So now it is the Zamzam water is being distributed by robots, which bring bottles to the pilgrims.
Oh,
little bottles of Zamzam water. You got robots and Zamzam. I don't know. I'm just really enjoying saying those words at this point. I couldn't even find a picture of these robots.
Oh, you don't want you can't. It's like Muhammad, right? No images of the Zamzam robot.
Yeah,
guys.
You can't see that. That nobody's allowed to make an image of it. But yes, so there you go. Robots in Mecca. That's we are in the space age, everybody. Welcome. It's now official. We are the Jetsons.
I thought you were going to say that they were like VR robots, like they're roaming around doing all the things, right?
Oh, wouldn't that?
So people at home can just like join in and
that'll be soon, very soon. You'll just FaceTime the Hajj as your proxy robot walks around, sort of rolls around the Kaaba.
Yeah, because like this pandemic isn't ending anytime soon.
Stop that. Shush. It's
Sorry.
true. It's not until we all get vaccinated.
Sorry.
There's enough vaccine for everybody, but we're not taking it. So have fun with COVID-22, everybody. That's going to be a fun one. Anyway, listen, if you would like to write into us and tell us why we're wrong and it's going to be okay, that would be nice. Please feel free to do so by emailing us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. We've got more show coming up. Hey, Dan.
Hey.
So it's time to listen to a raving lunatic, conservative
we do
Christian.
that every week, but it's it's sometimes different lunatics. This guy's a returning champion, I would say.
Yeah, I was about to say he's one of our favorites. He's not. I hate Rick Wiles.
Oh, no.
Like, I have a sort of a soft spot for Pat Robertson. I have nothing but the deepest loathing for Rick Wiles.
Yeah, Pat Robertson is like your uncle that, or your like great uncle that you see every now and then, and like half the time you see him, he's like sweet, and you're like, oh, and then half the time he's got something like awful crazy to say. Rick Wiles is pure evil. He's just an evil man. But he, you know what? He thinks that about us, and he says so quite without hesitation. So let's just hear what he has to say about the gross liberals in the world.
Let's stop being nice about these people. Look, I'm guilty of being too diplomatic and too nice. These are not good people. They're not good people.
They're evil, and they
They're
want us
evil,
dead.
and they're wicked.
And they want us dead.
And they want us dead. Let's get it out on the table here.
They called us assassins.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's get it out on the table. They're wicked, they're evil, they're not good. And they want us dead. Is that clear enough?
It's clear as day.
I say let's meet at Gettysburg. Get this over with.
Hey, listen, this is the times we're in. I mean, this is the reality. These people are ruling and reigning over us.
A bunch of sissified lefties would never come out and meet real men. Never. They're cowards. They're a bunch of cowards. They never would come out and face real men.
Yeah, and real patriots that love this country.
That's right. They'll never do it.
Nope.
They're nothing but stinking cowards. I'm fed up with putting up with their crap. I'm a free man. I live in a free country. And men died for this country. And on my watch, in my generation, we're watching it being taken from us, and we're too lazy to stop it. We ought to be ashamed of ourselves. We ought to be ashamed that we're allowing these cowards to take our country. We don't want to be inconvenienced with putting down a communist revolution.
Well, too bad it's here.
Yeah, it's here. And if the people don't do something very, very soon, you're going to end up in a concentration camp. And after that, you're going to end up in a grave.
You know, Frank, he's been guilty of being too diplomatic.
I know.
That was-
mean, yes. I mean, when I think
I think
of
if
Rick
there's one thing we can
Wiles, I think of diplomacy. I think
what
of
you think of is like, you know, he has that soft touch of his that he likes to employ. Holy shit, Rick! Jesus Christ!
Here's the deal. I love his whole thing of like, they would never come face real men on the battlefield and blah, blah, blah. Okay, Rick, you go out on the battlefield. I'd love to see you out on the battlefield,
Yeah.
Rick Wiles. You're not
Yeah.
going out on the fucking battlefield. Like,
Listen,
there's no
here's the thing.
fucking way.
No. Here's the thing. I am one of these sissified lefties that he's not concerned about in terms of our cowardice and whatever. I'll fight you, Rick.
Yeah.
You want to fight? I'll fight you. You're an old man. You might get a couple good blows in. I don't know. I won't actually fight you, and I would never advocate any violence to Rick
No, absolutely
Wiles.
not. Like,
But if you manage to see Rick Wiles out there in the world and you punch him in the face, I will probably donate to your defense fund. I'm just saying, I will probably help you defend yourself.
well, I'm not saying that. And I don't think that's the official stance of TGIA Media LLC, Dan.
No, that's just me. That's just your good friend Dan saying, I'm not telling you that you should punch Rick Wiles directly in the face. What I'm telling you is, if you do that, I will contribute to your defense fund and probably help you raise money. That's what I'm saying.
Can we categorize this under satire? Can we?
Yeah, that's 100% what this is. We don't mean anything that we say on this whole show. This is a comedy show-ish, sort of. So don't take it seriously.
Yeah, no, because I mean, he is advocating for violence.
Oh yeah, he's 100% actually.
Absolutely, like,
He's claiming that there are concentration camps being readied. And people believe this. I have seen TikToks where Christian people believe that there are concentration camps being readied for the Christians.
it's so
That's what they're being told,
stupid.
and they're believing it. The absurdity of it cannot be overstated, considering that the man that they're accusing of doing it is probably the most religious man we've had in the presidency for a while.
Yeah. I know, isn't it?
He is a devout Catholic.
Yep.
But there you go.
Yep.
Well, we had some folks write into us because this is a podcast and people write into podcasts. So I guess I'll read some of it. And the first thing is from Benjamin, who writes, "Hey there, Frank and Dan. Just wanted to weigh in on what you were discussing in episode 501 in regards to the Mormon Church gaslighting their own members about their theology on the afterlife. For those of you who don't recall, the Mormon Church had a very strong stance. It was their best selling point. And they recently very quietly published a thing on their website that completely disavowed it. But I'll let Benjamin explain. Benjamin says, "I grew up in one of those crazy evangelical churches, went to camps exactly like the one shown in the documentary Jesus Camp as a child, etc. That's terrifying. However, largely due to my ex-partner, I converted to Mormonism at around age 18 years old. I went to church every weekend, did all the missionary discussions pre-baptism, went to 2 semesters of seminary, went through the temple, and did a semester of institute."
Oh, wow.
These are all Mormon things. Anyway, he Mormoned pretty hard. And I can tell you, I was told by every single one of those sources multiple times over that if we completed all the rituals and lived our lives as good little Mormons, then we would become a god and get a planet of our own after we died. Every single one. I was even instructed to teach this very belief myself during home teaching assignments. The fact that after decades and decades of teaching this, the LDS leadership thinks they can just say, "Just kidding, we never said that," is crazy to me. Did they think nothing was documented in writing or on audio/video from dozens of various church authorities confirming that this was the end goal for exaltation? Just blows my mind.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's cuckoo bananas. And Cosmic in California has this to say about the whole thing. Hello, Frank and Dan. On the episode titled "Gaslighting Writ Large," Frank expressed that while the church has distanced itself from much of Brigham Young's more esoteric theology, he has a hard time believing that they will ever distance themselves from that of Lorenzo Snow. I hope it is.
I have a feeling he's got some examples of things.
Well,
okay.
Not really. Lorenzo Snow was another prophet of the Mormon Church back in history and taught a bunch of crazies. Anyway, Cosmic goes on to say, "I hope it is not trivializing anything when I say that the conversation put me in mind of the discussions that comic book fans have about what they consider canon within their comic books. When we get to discussing the impact of the church's disavowal of godly afterlives, we want." I edited out a little bit about Cosmic's partner. Sorry. So that's what Cosmic is talking about here. We wondered what this means for people who died with that expectation in their heads, and possibly more important, we wondered what it means for their loved ones. I know it means little to the deceased, being dead and all, but do loved ones now have to live with the deceased being ripped from their planets and godhood revoked? Or are they retconning Mormon heaven? If so, what does that imply for the greater Mormon continuum and how its fans/adherents understand the continuity? Cosmic goes on to say, I hope the comic book comparison is not offensive or insensitive. It's great.
Yeah, and be as insensitive as you want to with these people.
Yeah. Oh, what, are you going to hurt our feelings? I hope you hurt the Mormons' feelings. No, like, this is perfect. Exactly right. We are now having to grapple with, we got one comic book author who has just completely ignored the canon and is going rogue. And now it's just a question of like, now what's the good stuff? What's the real stuff? I love this idea of retconning, which is like retroactive. What is the con part of retconning?
I have no idea. But I just need to see some Mormons and hear the conversations as they're processing this. Like if they accept it, right? If they're like, oh yeah, no, okay. Oh no, of course. No, we never really believed that. That was just, and the word that was evading me while we were having this conversation last time was space doctrine. That's just space doctrine. Do you remember that? They would talk about like, oh, don't worry about the space doctrine, right? You don't.
I don't remember
anyway, so there's this idea that there is some weird doctrine and you just shouldn't worry about it, right? I do remember that. And so it's like, but becoming a god was not part of space doctrine, right? Like
No.
that was fully part of the central doctrine.
That is as deep canon as you can get, and now it is just being erased. It's crazy.
Well, thank you, Cosmic. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah. We also had Daniel write into us. Howdy, Frank and Dan. I'm from the equivalent of West Berlin here in Austin, Texas.
Oh, okay.
I think that's pretty apt.
Okay.
We're an island of sanity here in this god-awful state. Yet, even here, things suck from COVID as our governor and his minions, all of whom are vaccinated BTW,
Right.
continue to back conspiracy theories regarding the vaccine. I was hoping to send my oldest child, one of 4, back to public school this fall, and that won't be happening until the vaccine becomes available to her age group. She's 9. Since we just moved to the area in January of 20, what a great time to have committed to a new place. The pandemic kept us from enrolling her in the local schools last year. This year, with the quote 4th wave getting worse, I contacted the local school district to look into what precautions they'll be taking since we're teetering on going back to level 4 on the COVID severity scale. The answer was none. There won't be any restrictions going into the fall. We won't mandate any masks for teachers or students. I then asked her, so basically your position as a school district is to act as if nothing has happened, nothing is happening currently, and nothing could possibly go wrong? Her reply, essentially yes. We polled parents and students, and they don't want restrictions.
Yeah.
Apparently, the attitude around here is that we just need to sprinkle a little Jesus on the issue. Yeah. That's why you have a mandate, because people left to their own devices are dumb.
Yeah.
Largely just really, really dumb.
They won't do the hard thing. And in this case, the hard thing is actually a really easy thing.
Right.
But they won't. They just won't.
No. You have to force them to do it. You have to force people to safeguard their own fucking safety.
Yep.
We almost played one of the clips that, we had that Rick Wiles clip and it was just too good. But the other clip that I was looking at was a woman who some sort of Christian talk show host of some sort. And she told the story of taking her husband, who was deathly ill, to the emergency room because he had COVID-related pneumonia and was not able to breathe at all and almost died. And she herself had COVID too and had been sick for weeks, but though nowhere near as severely. And then she, of course, at the end volunteers that she's not yet ready to change her stance on vaccination. Not yet.
She's coming round. Eventually,
She's
I'll
still
get
thinking
there.
about it.
It's like,
Her husband's fine. He's home now. He's just on a cocktail of drugs and feeling miserable, but he's fine. So it's probably okay. All right.
That's
Well,
insanity.
we have some folks to thank, and I'm going to start us off.
okay.
Freethinker215 sent us some money on PayPal at, quote, "In support of the Thank God I'm Atheist podcast, please use for sex, drugs, alcohol, and or gambling." We will.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
That's my life.
And that's basically all we got at this point. And then Daniel sent us some money also and said, I had a coworker name dropping his BSF. I looked that up. That's Bible Study Fellowship meetings. Whenever he could. Annoyed me every time he said it. This donation is in his honor. So I appreciate that.
Awesome.
I encourage that kind of behavior. Every time you're annoyed by a coworker or someone on the street preaching Jesus at you, just give money to us. That's the best response, really, when all is said and done.
Indeed.
Both of you, we confer upon you the Aaronic priesthood. You are both deacons in it, and may you be blessed for that.
Yes, thank you.
And then do you have some other folks to thank?
I do, Dan. We have 4 new patrons on Patreon this week. We have 2 new deacons. We have Nature Nut, and I normally don't say last names, but John Doe.
Okay.
And then we have, so thank you to the both of you. And then we have 2 new priests by the name of Tucker and Lane. So thank you to the both of you as well.
Well, blessings upon all of you. Congratulations on your new magic powers. That's always great.
And if you'd like to get some magic powers yourself, you can go to thankgodimatheist.com and click on the support tab, and it'll take you over to Patreon or PayPal, whichever one suits you better.
Give us your money.
And as always, Dan, we have our top donors to thank. Our lords and saviors, Austin and Demonium. Woo! Stick around, there's more show coming up. Dan.
Yeah.
Underwear. Undies.
Y'all, most people, I think, know that the Mormons wear funny little underoos. They got their own. They are all required by God law and bird law to wear
very unflattering underwear.
Officially sanctioned ugly
The
wear.
worst underwear imaginable.
Maybe you should, since between the two of us, you're the only one that actually wore this stuff. Maybe you should describe for us.
Well, I can describe the men's garment quite well, and I can take a stab at the female garment, but a little less familiar with that. But they're 2-piecers typically. 1-piecers do exist still. That was the traditional.
I grew up with, my dad only wore the one piece, the onesie.
It's which is crazy town to me. And they probably, I would guess they probably still make it. But generally the modern Mormon wears 2 pieces, the top and the bottom garment. And so the men's is kind of like a t-shirt, an undershirt, right? And they have different necklines that you can get, right? You can get the crew neck, you get a little V-neck one, or you can get like the scoop one that like you can spot the eternal smile, right? Under
that used to be it. They all used to have this scoop neck that went down real low. That was like a little U on the man's chest, and you could see it under his white button-up, boring shirt.
Right. And then they have these other ones that are a little bit more modern in sort of their cut, and you get different fabrics. They have like a mesh fabric that a lot of people like because it breathes really well. I always just like the cotton poly blend. It's just a good t-shirt. And then you have the bottom part. So the top isn't that weird. I mean, it's a little weird, but it's not totally crazy to wear a t-shirt.
For the ladies, it's more of like a sort of cap sleeve that covers your shoulder, but like if you were wearing a cap sleeve t-shirt, you probably wouldn't see it.
Yeah. Well, a lot of,
but you're definitely not going to be able to get away with a tank top.
Definitely not. You're right about that. But a lot of women do sort of roll and tuck that part of the garment in. You're not supposed to, but a lot of women do. And then there's the bottom, which is essentially knee length underwear, but none of it fits like you would want like your underwear to fit. Like it's all just kind of baggy and not good. And just so unflattering. Like it's just the worst.
It goes to just above the knee, which means shorts have to be quite long.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're going to wear them, you can't get away with a short or even a mid-sized short.
No.
They're just the worst. Right. They're literally the worst. And for me, I'm a guy who I insist on. I can't do man-made fabrics. I can't do a polyester. I hate it. It doesn't breathe. I feel hot all the time. I gotta have cotton only.
Well, they have a cotton only option, but anyway.
Okay.
And then the ladies, it's like you were describing the top, but here's the kicker. Women out there listening who don't already know this.
This is the stuff of nightmares. Brace yourself, ladies.
You can have nothing between you and the garment, so that means your brassiere must be worn over this garment top.
Your garments. Yeah.
So
it's horrifying.
So it's really, when I was a full-fledged adult before I knew that. Like I was probably 30 before I even knew that, and was just like, are you mad?
You never walked in on your mom or anything?
I don't know that I would have noticed. Right.
Oh,
and I didn't know what all of, whatever. And no, I probably didn't really walk in on my mom. My dad would walk around the house in his garments, and I was always just like, oh God, But yeah. So anyway,
this is like, it's awful. But an article came out a couple days ago in the New York Times, which basically is about it starts with the story of a woman named Sasha Pitton or Pitton. I don't know how she says it.
I'm sure it's Pitton. That's obvious.
That's how I prefer. That is my preferred pronunciation of her name. She's a Mormon. She goes by the handle @TheMormonHippie on Instagram. And she actually is talking about this, which, y'all, is shocking. Because while they are not, quote, secret, they are, quote, sacred.
Oh, absolutely.
And so you're not really supposed to talk about the underwear, especially not with outsiders. But even like Mormons don't talk to each other about the underwear. It's this hush-hush thing. It is really...
Well, they do like to tell their little stories about, the garment protecting somebody, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like there's all this lore about the garment and like somebody was like, in a fire or whatever. And they had all these burns on their arms and their legs and whatnot, but under the garment, they were totally protected or whatnot.
Right. Or someone on the battlefield.
Oh, yeah. Stopped a bullet.
The bullet just grazed off the garment in some way. Yeah, anything faith affirming, they're happy to talk about the garments. But like, if it's just, you're definitely not supposed to be like, these are uncomfortable, right?
Right.
Are we all having this experience?
Right.
Anyway, @TheMormonHippie decided to come out and just say, this is probably not great, y'all. We have to wear these all the time, and I'm fucking uncomfortable. She did not use those words. That's my truncated, that's my summation of what she said. What she actually said was, and she addressed this to President of the Church, Russell M. Nelson. She said, so this is on
Twitter, quote,
right? Yeah, or Instagram. Okay. I think it's Instagram. Okay. She said, quote, "We really want buttery soft fabric." The quote goes on, "My vagina has to breathe," which, if you know Mormonism, you know that like addressing a comment that has the word vagina in it to the prophet is that's a special moment.
Yeah, I mean,
that is a good moment.
He was a medical doctor, so he has encountered the word before.
He does know that vaginas exist. But the tradition of the Mormon Church has never been to actually, care about the woman's lived experience. So for a woman to actually ask that they care about what are, because these things are cumbersome, and apparently, it depends on what shape you are, but they can chafe and they can feel gross and they can feel awful.
Yeah.
And, it might behoove them to actually ask some folks what their experience of the temple garment is, and maybe beg Jesus to let them make it a little bit more comfortable.
And, bring them out of the era of pantaloons,
Right? Bloomers. You're basically in bloomers. Do you know that it is no longer 1830? Are you aware of this fact? Actually, funnily enough, in the 1800s, they were even worse.
Oh, God.
All the way to the wrist and ankle.
And wool.
Yeah, I think so.
In the Utah desert.
Not great. So yeah, there you go. I who knows? Basically, what do we anticipate will happen here? Probably this woman will get excommunicated for saying anything. And then 2 months after she is officially kicked out of the church permanently, the church will announce that they, in their magnanimity, how do you say magnanimous? Magnanimity. There you go. Are actually going to give you more comfortable garments. I don't know.
Yeah.
That tends to be their thing. They won't apologize to anybody. They won't ever admit that they've done anything wrong, and they will definitely punish people who speak out, especially if the New York Times happens to pick it up.
Oh my God.
That's
the ultimate sin.
She's gone.
A little too high profile.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny because the church did release a video a couple of years ago that sort of was showing the the garments are sort of laid out on a table, right? It's not
it doesn't show them on a person
or even a mannequin, just
right.
Just on a kind of an oak table, walnut table, probably. And they talk about it and I remember, I didn't rewatch the video recently, but I remember being they actually just they talked about the garment.
Yeah,
right?
That was shocking.
And so but if you're going to talk about it and you're going to have a video on your website, it does kind of suggest that you might be more open about it now, right? Just a little more open since you're talking about it.
Since you brought it up.
But apparently they're the only ones allowed to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want the New York Times talking about it.
So far, no word on anything, any kind of retaliation. That'll happen. They'll attempt to make it quiet and whatever. But, Twitter did explode. I'm sure Instagram exploded with people having all sorts of comments.
Yeah.
Mormons tend to be very worried that they're going to be made fun of for their temple garments, which I understand that. We do make fun of you. They're ridiculous. Your underwear is stupid and not magic. But, this made all of the Mormons feel very uncomfortable.
As
Except
everything
some of the Mormons,
does. Everything makes Mormons feel uncomfortable.
Well, yeah. They love the limelight unless you actually say anything about what they believe, and then they're like, shh, no,
That's
don't talk
ours.
about us.
How dare you?
You need to just tell the world how great we are, and don't say what we actually believe or
ding,
do.
ding, 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 ding. You have to give us time to revise all of our beliefs before you talk about our beliefs.
They're working on it. They're working on it. I mean, I saw a bunch of Mormons who actually appreciated the fact that the New York Times handled it with quite a bit of respect.
Yeah, it's very matter of fact. It's not made to seem weird.
Yeah, it's not making fun or anything.
No.
And a couple of Mormons I saw on Twitter who were like, you know what? These women are calling for something that is very doable.
Yeah.
Mormon Church.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get on that and actually make it happen.
They've already
We
established
shall see.
that materials don't matter, right? The fabrics don't matter, right?
Right.
Because there's already a wide variety, the Lord hasn't given a commandment that it needs to be synthetic,
Right. Yeah.
So
actually, the Lord did give a commandment about fabrics in Leviticus, which they've already broken.
Right.
So Apparently they don't care about Lord commandments.
Nobody cares about Leviticus.
Nobody, yeah. Well, until they want to be mean to gay people, and then they do.
Oh, that's right.
Anyway, there you go. You feel free to Google the Mormon temple garments and see them. A whole bunch of ex-Mormon TikTokers and people will be more than happy to show you what they look like on a human body.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of wacky.
There's a whole genre of gay porn.
That's true. That's true.
I don't get it. I don't get it, but it's out there.
Yeah, so go ahead and look it up if you want to, but definitely don't join the Mormon Church, and that's just reason 100,033 why not to. Anyway, if you do have anything you'd like to write into us about or ask us any questions, you can email us at podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, hey, go to the Facebook page, will you? Click the like button, facebook.com/TGIAtheist. Every now and then we post something there.
And if you'd like to join one of our 2 members-only lounges, we've got one on Facebook and one over and a Discord members-only lounge. If you'd like to join them, go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/members-only.
Hey, thanks to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their fine, beautiful music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all of you, dear friends, for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.